Good YouTube, Quinn Wade coming to y'all with that basketball analysis on Analysis Playground and on YouTube. We're just gonna talk about certain free agents that ended up extending or going to a different place as it is free agency. You look at Torian Prince, him and the Bucks agreed to a 1 year deal. He's a solid guy, kind of remind me a lot of Jay Crowder. He's gonna stay out the way. He's gonna make shots when you pass it to him. He's gonna play okay defense. I mean, you only really giving him a cheap amount of money. You want veterans on this roster. You want guys that can contribute, guys that, can play a role. And for sure, as you're still trying to win with Giannis, who's almost 30, and Brook Lopez, and Chris Middleton, and Damian Lillard. So at their age, they're not looking for second round picks or first round picks. They're looking for guys that can come and go and keep them interchangeable and not on long-term deals and expensive contracts because they already have the big four, which is, the main reason why you would play for this team. And I feel like Prince can bring exactly what he has done his whole entire career, and that's near double figures, 8.9 points last year, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists. He did shoot 39% from three, and that's exactly what the Bucks are looking for. Shooters, guys that can stay out the way, guys that can help Giannis, have floor spacing or the ability to pass it to him. And I feel like Torian Prince is a guy that can do all that, and it makes sense. Alec Burke is the same. The Heat looking for more scoring and more ball handling outside of Jimmy Butler and a guy like Tyler Hero, especially because they lost Kyle Lowry. And they didn't hurt that much. They got in the same position they were last year. They just didn't have as deep of a run, which is year to year for everybody. So, it happens. And injuries was a big part of the reason why they didn't advance. And Alec Burks just gives them another guy that can handle the ball, score at a decent clip while still being able to shoot just enough. He averaged 10 points and 2.3 rebounds and 1.3 assists in 18 minutes. That's above average while still shooting 37% from three. I think that this is a good deal. You just need a quality role player, and I feel like Alec Burks fits stats. Joe Ingles, he goes to the Wolves. He's a guy that can handle a little bit, and he also can play make a little bit. He also can shoot threes at a decent clip, too. These are the type of players, like I said, that you want. Guys you don't have to develop. Guys you don't have to worry about showing up on time or being, perfect fits when it comes to knowing their place in a rotation. And Joe Ingles, made a lot of sense for him to try to get his big paydays off the books now. And now it's just time to see how long he's going to survive playing in the NBA. He's recovering from some injuries, but other than that, he's just a solid, good guy that understands his game and understands his role. PJ Dozier and the Wolves agreed to a 1 year deal. I think that this is a decent deal. They need more guys that can create their own shot. And I feel like PJ is decent at it, not crazy, not amazing at it, but he can put up numbers. He can make a difference. Dozier averaged 8.6 points, 2.8 rebounds, 3.1 assists in 19 minutes. That's really great production. They need these type of guys. Like I said, the Timberwolves are mostly top heavy, and now they're starting to get some depth and some scoring too to fill out that roster, and that's something that they had to do. The biggest name today is LeBron James, the greatest small forward ever, one of the greatest players ever, continues to extend his career, continues to show that he has no slowdown yet in his game. He might shoot more to exhaust that energy less, and he might try to find a way to score in different ways. He's more thinking than he used to just be in attack mode. But when you look at the numbers, you look at the top 10 players, LeBron should be on everybody's list. And if you can bring back a top 10 player with another one potentially, which Anthony Davis is always borderline top 10 or definitely in the top 10 depending on the year and depending on if he's healthy, you definitely do that, especially if you add the no crazy trade clause showing you that you're committed to this free agent. Like they don't really have anybody that they can really make a run at right now based off cap space, based off talent. So this is the best move to continue to move forward for the Lakers, is put themselves in a situation where this guy already delivered us a championship his way. So let's continue to follow that path and continue to see what he thinks and what we need to get information wise to give him the best team situation shit situated around him. And I feel like it's the right move. Like I said, it already proven that it can work. It just the West is just brutal, where teams that evenly match up, or teams have Hall of Famers, or teams have heliocentric type players already on the roster, and they can do the same thing in their own way. It just, can you beat them out of seven? They've been unfortunately beat by the Denver Nuggets multiple times, and it hasn't really looked like competition. But playoffs is matchup based, and playoffs sometimes grow different depending on where you seat. And if somebody can take out Denver, or Denver, get took out, maybe they can make a run at it, because they usually do beat everybody else. It's just unfortunate that it happens that way, but it's part of the game. You can't run away. You got to be able to embrace that stuff. Sixers are likely to waive or trade Paul Reed to create $9.2 million in extra cap space, so they can go ahead and get another guy that they like. Mostly probably a 3-and-D type of guy, or an offense type of guy. We'll see if they can get somebody defensively. I feel like they're all off the board with guys that feel that way. He also considered slight favorites for DeMar DeRozan. I feel like that's important to keep note of, because he is a guy that can get you 20 points and 5 assists plus, and he also can rebound. And it makes sense for them to feel that way. Thomas Bryant is one of them bigs that been hopping around the league. He's a decent rim protector. He can dunk. He can space the floor a little bit. And I feel like the Heat has been needing a big center that can do those things around Bam Adebayo and Kevin Love. And I feel like those two guys understand how to play. They understand how to make teammates better. They know how to understand how to make the roles of their jobs easier by setting great screens and doing dribble handoffs, or even just creating, contact for those guys to get to the free throw line by giving them direct line drives to the basket or pull-ups. And that's why this team was so successful the last 5 years, is because of players like Bam and Kevin Love being on the roster. And I feel like Thomas Bryant is just there for size, just there for, solid, inside interior scoring and protection. And I think that you can't really say that he's not, because he has done it, on teams before. And when you look at Damian Lee, he agrees to a 1-year deal with the Suns. They need more shooting, they need more scoring, and they get that with Damian Lee. He was a guy I knew would be off the trade block or the sign block very fast, and it's not a surprise when you can shoot as well as Damian Lee. That's usually what happens. But other than that, that's the wrap up on that. LeBron is a guy that has a lot of power and control over franchises, because he is that good, and he has been able to get to the finals time and time again. Now the biggest question is, will he make another finals, which gives him an opportunity to win another championship? I don't know. I do feel like the West is very tough. I do feel like the Celtics are a different team than what he beat back then. They're more confident. They play more better. Their roster's more deeper. Their starting lineup is more better, than it was back then, to even compare to the role player that LeBron needs to help step up. I feel like the Celtics can, guard those players and keep them in check and make it more easier. We found that way out against the Mavericks. We're going to play that type of style. We match up well against that type of style, and we make, players work for what they need to get done on us. And that's what defense is all about. So when I look at this free agency, I look at a lot of teams either offloading a lot of talent, not being able to get a lot of players back because they are free agents. So teams prioritize them, and they give them more lucrative deals, or they give them more bigger roles. And some teams just faltered a lot by not being able to convince guys to stay, not being able to convince guys that this is a destination you should continue to play for. And I just feel like it's unfortunate, but that's the part of free agency, is showing you that a lot of these star players want to be, heralded. They want to be appreciated. They want to be chased. And if you're not going to do that, players are just going to go to a team that's going to give them exactly what they want. And they might not get what they want team success-wise. And I think that that's the ultimate forgotten thing, is you going for the right reason, which is to win? Is you going for the right reasons instead of getting paid? And you see a lot of these teams, looking at it as a business perspective, and they're showing these people the business side of the game a little too often, and that just kind of mess up the consistency of some of these deals not really making sense for a lot of teams. I done heard a lot of people like, Quinn, this don't really make sense. This don't really make sense. Why are they getting this guy? They just had a guy like that. Shouldn't they keep the guy that's better? And I say it makes sense that way, but the business side of it always gets a little murky and a little ugly when those egos and those pride fest type of things happen, or even it could be the front office that has it, or they feel that they can get an upgrade, so they prioritize the upgrade, and then they want to try to be a suitor when it comes to trying to convince you to come back, and you realize that they already negotiated with other people. By the time they wake up, they realize all their free agents are gone, and now they got to start back with, undrafted players or players that was late picks that they can trade basically nothing to get. And now they're going to gamble on player development, which take years to actually get a decent bench that way. And it's just because those guys are going to feel that they need to leave too, based on what happened to the other guys. So it's just a different perspective to look at it, because it's reality, and players do need to have their own power. Players do need to be treated a certain way, because they are the biggest difference makers in the game. This is the difference between winning and losing, and the players that can get it done, and the players that don't, and the players that possibly could but also come with that huge upside. And you also know the low side of it is most of these guys don't pan out. So either they're developing well, or they just wasting space until you can find a way to get what you want. And by then, you have so much competition, and then it dwindles so much to you just stuck with basically a mediocre roster that you have to deal with, because most guys are going to try to milk their money as much as they can because they earned it. Other than that, comment, like, subscribe, and share. Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis. With that Basketball Analysis, signing out.